They're not glamorous, not that expensive, relatively speaking, but I know I can't live without these in my bag. And heads up before I continue. I'm gonna say, or try to say, rings in this video a lot, because that's what this video is about. But I can't pronounce hard G's. With that out of the way, when might you wanna use step up or step down filter rings? Let's call them step-in rings to include both options. Well, I think the most logical reason is to save money, and that's a good thing, right? So in this video, I'll show you how I use step-in rings of various sizes to do just that, and a few other useful uses too. Hi, Ray here, with a huge selection of step-in rings. So in case you're unfamiliar with these often overlooked photo accessories, let's get to the point. Step-in rings are generally used to adapt filters of one size to a different size lens filter thread. And here I'm talking about neutral density, fixed or variable polarizers, and other effect filters like, say, black mist and colored filters, rather than protective or UV filters, which I've covered in other videos. Here's the real money-saving advantage. Using step-in rings means you don't have to buy a different size filter for every lens that you own. But it's important to buy all filters at the largest size that you need, that is for the largest lens filter thread. Okay, you might say, but larger filters are more expensive. True, but using these adapters means that you don't have to buy as many. So, all my filters are standardized to 82mm, which covers most of the lenses I own but one. And we'll take a look at the solution for that lens with a 95mm thread later in the video. But what are the best lens adapter rings? In other words, brass. That is, the best are usually made from that lovely yellow metal preferred by camera connoisseurs. So much so that some people take sandpaper to their multi-$1,000 lighters or the top dials of their Nikon ZF. Like those lighters, brass step-in rings tend to come at a premium as well. Not as expensive as a lighter, but certainly more so than their aluminum counterparts. And most of the rings that I have are made of that latter, lesser material, simply as a cost-saving measure. And cheap aluminum rings can and do lead to frustration and potential lens damage. I've had aluminum rings seize, especially when I have them stacked. Who wants to have a step-in ring stuck on a multi-$1,000 lens? So I've done a lot of testing of different brands of step-in rings so you don't have to. Why is brass superior? Just like the best lens filters that have brass for the frame, step-in rings also benefit from brass construction. But back to the subject at hand. Cheap aluminum rings are evil. And I was disappointed in the ones that came with a $1,200 Nikon kit that I bought back a few years ago. They've been relegated to the junk drawer. I have them here somewhere. There's one right there. And I've replaced those with these rings that are not equal to brass, but are, well, machined. These Amphofo. I've also had luck with Buysmy products that look as if they came from the same factory, to be honest. And I should mention that Nikon do make some excellent products. Their filters are top-notch. And they do make brass step-in rings at a fairly decent price, nice knurled outer grip too, and some other brass brands to consider are off the top of my head, Polar Pro, Lucid, and TNF. I've reviewed TNF, also known as tent phase products before, including tripods and filters. They're budget-friendly but quality Cine filters are also worth mentioning again here. Don't need stepping rings for those. They have a decent selection of brass stepping rings. I recently grabbed one of their brass adapters for my most used lens, the 50mm f1.8s, which has a filter thread of 62mm, so step up from 62 to 82. And at $39.99 Canadian, right now, that equals about $28 US. Anyway, with tax it came to $44.79 Canadian. Now, I was a bit confused when I looked at the packaging. The box said Nano X series filter. It even came with 3 microfiber cleaning cloths. This is a premium stepping ring, and who else ships a stepping ring in a hinged plastic case as if it was a filter? And I'm not praising this product, which I bought with my own money off Amazon, because Tent Phase have sent me stuff to review in the past. This is just a very nice product at a reasonable price. For comparison, I have the Amopofo equivalent 62 to 82mm in aluminum, and it cost $18.90 Canadian. It's been working fine, but it's not brass. And this brass TNF? Well, it's hard to describe if they haven't used filters with brass frames or brass rings before, but it just threads so smoothly, even though at this point the anodizing hasn't worn off. Whether you're using brass or aluminum, always turn the ring counterclockwise first, feel the thread set, keep it level before turning carefully clockwise to thread onto the lens. If you feel it bind before it's fully threaded, turn it back immediately, level, and try again. It seems to me that there's more of a variation in lens filter threads these days. I have more adapters than ever. I just bought this 46 to 82 for the DX 16 to 50 zoom that we use with the Nikon Z52. It's a rare bird bought on Amazon that took forever to ship. It's another not so rare aluminum Amopofo. I'll include a few more common filter thread sizes for NIKKOR lenses in a sidebar for fellow Nikon shooters. About that 95mm thread on my Z400 4.5 lens. As I demonstrated in the review of that lens, I discovered that I could use a step down ring from 95 to 82mm and use my 82mm filters on that lens with no discernible vignetting. I should say that's probably not something you could get away with on a wide-angle lens. Cine lenses are another matter. Iris, for example, uses 86mm for their Cine line. However, I should mention that Iris do have a line of compatible magnetic filters, and I'll talk about magnetic filters later. DZO, or D0 if you like, also 86mm, front diameter 95mm. Suffice to say, cinema lenses are usually big, with some new compact exceptions. So that brings us to adapters for matte boxes, a slightly different beast but worth mentioning in the context of cinema lenses. A matte box clamp or opening diameter of 95mm is a sort of standard, as we've seen, that matches the outside diameter of many lenses, but not all. For instance, larger professional matte boxes come in at 114mm. Once again, adapter rings to the rescue to 114mm outer diameter. If you want to use on smaller diameter lenses, as us hybrid shooters often do, you need an adapter that screws onto the lens filter thread, and Smallwood, for instance, has a range of aluminum adapters for, say, the popular mini matte box, which has a 95mm opening, well, slightly larger with a clamp mechanism. Once you have the adapter threaded onto your lens, the matte box screws down onto the adapter. One last adapter that I'll mention before we wrap this up: magnetic adapters for use with magnetic filters. And there's a whole range of brands that offer this convenient option now: PolarPro, Case, Freewell, Newer, K&F, with K&F, to my mind, offering the best bang for the buck. So, the adapter ring provides the magnetic stickiness. Again, I suggest buying a filter or filter system to fit your largest diameter lens. And K&F offers a whole range of options, but you may still need adapter rings depending on the lens. Finally, how the hell are we supposed to keep all these adapters organized? For the NIKKOR square filter system, it comes with a nice pouch that stood up pretty well for 4 years, but I wish it was a bit roomier. But the front compartment holds enough room for a day out. I found a pouch from Newer that's perfect for the smaller matte box adapters. Really nice little unit here. And Tent Face has a great little pouch with magnetic flap that'll hold 2 magnetic variable NDs and a couple of stepping rings. I'll add purchase links in the description from some of the items mentioned in this video. I didn't anticipate making such a long video on the subject of lowly stepping rings, but here we are. They may seem to be a small and overlooked item, but they are, I think, indispensable, especially if you want to save on what can be an expensive investment, the filters themselves. So, if you found this video useful and cost saving, please give it a thumbs up, and if this is your first visit to my channel, please do consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss new content from me. In the meantime, take care, cheers, we'll see you later.